Welcome to this landing page revamp session for the conversion coaching series by Leadpages. My name is Bob Sparkins. During this session, we're going to take a few customer pages, take a look at them, talk about what we like, what could be improved upon, and then we're actually going to do it. We're going to change the pages live on the screen. Our next page is going to be over here at rapidphoncenter.ai. This is from Frederick. So let's take a quick look at how this page looks. We've got CX audit in play. This section has a lot of text in it, so we're going to want to work on that a little bit. Got a lot of lines being used on this page, which is interesting to me. And some of it, you may or may not need to use. And then you've got your free CX audit. All right. So as we bring this page in, a couple of initial thoughts that I have. There is sort of this like competing call to action that's happening on this page that I would want you to choose, to make a choice of what do you really want people to do. So let's bring the builder up with this page inside and be able to go in from there. So you've got a lot of lines and you've done that consistently. So I don't have a big problem with you using it, but I would say you might want to keep them consistent. So if you have these like red lines in a few different spots, then just keep using them. Going back and forth from red to white, etc. Just might not make a lot of sense. I think it's a little bit overkill to do any lines at all at this level, but you've done it consistently, so I'm gonna go ahead and leave them in there. I would say that when you get to too big of a section with dark background light text, you might lose some people visually, but this is at that edge where I think you're okay. But too much light text on a dark background can be impactful in a negative way towards your conversion rates. So if you can shrink this text down a bit, I think you'd be well served from that. Where I'm confused with this page is I've got the initial thing of customer experience and retention package. You got the details, get a free CX audit. And then as I scroll down to this section, enroll for a free audit on, then there's 3 different options. And I can't tell as a visitor to this page, am I looking at getting all 3 of these for free? Am I choosing which one of these I'm actually going to get? I'm not really sure what's at stake here. So to help me with that, one of the things I would encourage you to do is to bring in some buttons if these are 3 different options. Okay. If these are 3 different options, then bring a button in to the section of the page that this is in. And you would say something like get CX help or something like that. You're going to want to make these buttons a little bit smaller. You're going to want the font to be smaller, all that kind of stuff, just so it doesn't take up so much space. You're still going to have this idea of the price point if you want to for free, or you can incorporate this instead. So it's up to you how you'd want to do it. And that's up to you. So you could say something like $99 free, and you could, like stamp this out if you really wanted to, but I don't find that to be super helpful that way. So you could just say, probably put this as a vertical kind of setup. So I'm going to duplicate this real quick and bring it over and center it. But the idea is that you've got, and I don't think I would use these lines at all. I think you're incorporating lines a little bit too much for the use of the space and what you're trying to accomplish. Okay, so I would take this line spacing down probably to pretty minimal level for this dollar amount, and then obviously you make this button connect to whatever the CTA should be. So if you've got a pop up or whatever, then by all means use that. And then you would just duplicate this process across the page. All right. So if you have this as the situation, which is what I'm thinking you're doing, you're giving people these different options, then that's the approach I would take. Okay. Giving them that choice and having them have each one of these be their own choices. But if it's the case that they're getting all 3 of these things, then that presents a little bit of a different story. Okay, So I'm going to go ahead and scroll down and see the next section, because this is where I got confused. What am I enrolling in versus getting my audit? And so to me, I didn't see anything on this page about enrolling in something. And so if that's the case, then why is it there? And if it's not necessary, then I would get rid of it. Landing pages are most effective when you have one choice for people to make. And that choice is either yes or no. It's not, do I do this plan, or this plan? It's yes or no. You present the chief thing you want them to do. You give them the key thing that you want them to focus on. And then that's the only thing that you offer. And if you need to give people a second or third option, either do it as a explore other options, like we talked about earlier in the session, or you have three very related types of options, like a tier 1, tier 2, tier 3 of the same kind of thing. So if it's a CX audit for one particular type of company or business, and then there's another level with more time spent, bigger proposal, maybe a strategic plan of action, like these types of things, you can give them that option instead. But in this case, what we're trying to do is just streamline which option do we pick from. And most of the time, what I personally prefer as well is I want to focus people's attention on what I think is likely the best option for them. So we're not going to arrange all this today just because we don't have the right amount of time to do so. But at the very minimum, you want to have this this button be a line button instead. And the line button basically means that there's no flat color in it. And then you're going to set this as the secondary style. Okay. And you can change the elements of that all that you want. Okay. And then this button also becomes a secondary button. And that way, as people look at this set of options, their eyes will focus on the one that you want them to focus on first. And then these become a secondary option. That's why it's a secondary button. These are the lesser choices, but they're still options that might be the right ones for people. But if this is the most important one that you want to showcase for people, then that's, of course, the one that you want them to pick. All right. But if it's my hunch that AI services and data analysis services, if those are things that aren't really necessary for the rest of this page, then like I've shared before earlier in the session, just focus on the one thing and then give people an option to explore other options if they want to on a secondary page. All right. So the more options you give people, the less likely they are to convert. All right. So we'll change this one back to a primary button so that it looks good on this particular page. And I think we're good to go with that. So we did a lot with layout and design so far. Let's just take a quick look at some copy ideas. So you have customer experience and retention package exceed your customer expectations. Again, this is where you have a reversal of what's important to showcase on your landing page. So customer experience and retention package is the thing. It's not the result, right? So what you're trying to do is you're trying to retain more customers at higher ROI or something like that, right? So that's what you're really trying to do. And then exceed your customer expectations is another way of saying that, right? So retain more customers. So the option could also be something like retain your customers by exceeding their expectations. Okay. And then you would say something like, get a review of your current CX design or something like that. Okay. And then this is a little bit too faded, so it doesn't really pop as well as it needs to. I like the idea of trying to have it be a little bit secondary in its nature, but just the size of it is enough to do so. If you want to change this a little bit more, obviously you can do so. I think there's a happy medium in between what you and I have set up. Okay. But where it was before, it was just too light, and too light means it's not a good CX, right? This text is a little bit too long. So you could try to say this in shorter phrases or in bullet points. So customer experience is the key to success in today's competitive and dynamic market. To deliver exceptional experience, you need, let's do this. You need to understand your customer's needs, preferences, and behaviors, to optimize your processes, products, and services to meet and exceed their expectations. And yeah, let's get rid of that. So you just don't need to say all the things as you were saying. And then let's do three bullets. 5 bullets are always better than multiple, or than an even number of bullets usually. So just from a conversion standpoint, I would encourage you to have those laid out like that. All right. Now this is taking up a little bit too much space, I think. So I'm going to see if I can shrink this down a little bit into the 2 lines. It might also be the case that we take this layout of this hero section, and let's make a copy of this just so you have the way it was before. I'm going to do a quick version of this. So we'll call it hero new for fun. And what we're going to do is we're going to add a row, and that row is going to then be moved to the top. And we're going to take this 2 things and move it into the top. Okay. And have it side by side like you had before. All right. And then we're going to take this text and move it into that top section as well underneath. And then we're going to delete this. And actually, let me make sure we're in the right spot. We were not in the right spot. So I want this in the row above. Okay. And we're going to add in a space widget so that we have a 3rd column essentially. Oh, I dropped it. There we go. So we've got your line like you wanted, but we're going to shrink it down a little bit. And we'll also shrink this one down a little bit. That's good. All right. So now we're crossing the, we're making this headline stand out a little bit bigger than it was before, which means we can bring its size up. So it still takes that 2 lines, but now this image is more to the side of these 2 elements instead. Okay. So now we've got our row in the new section, right? And this one has just a single column. And then this one has 2 columns with the text and the button and the image onto the side. So that way you're not having so much white space as what you had before. All right. This section, I think the gray of that is a little bit too much. So you've got an image here that is not being visible. I don't know if that was by design or you didn't realize that you could bring the opacity level down so that you could see a little bit of that image in the background. I like that image, but it might have just been part of the template that you didn't really need. But regardless, I would take this opacity level to a point where it makes sense for you, but it's lighter than what it was before because it was just too dark for that much text. Okay, so that's where we're going to leave it. For the last few moments of this review and revamp, I want to speak just for a moment about this text. I do think that this is 2 different sections, okay, that you have in play. So having it all in one thing is a little bit too overwhelming. So my recommendation would be to duplicate this section, and then let's get rid of these 2 columns, or at least one of these columns. And then with this one, we're going to get rid of this. We're going to duplicate this text and bring it over here. And we're going to get rid of 2 of these bullets and get rid of 3 of these bullets. Okay. So that way, this section is just stop feeling stressed when your customers reach out and transform those interactions and opportunities. I'd say something like transform stressful. Wait, what did it say? Transform customer customer feedback into growth opportunities. Okay, something of that nature. Okay. And then this is going to be an H2. You always want only one H1 on the whole page for SEO purposes, and everything else needs to be an H2. Okay. then you've got that. And then this section is basically going to be something like be the next CX success story. Okay, and we're going to get rid of this column in this section, and we'll keep those other two as they are. All right, so that way you've got, and we're going to get rid of, in this section, you don't want to have that same image background because it just doesn't make sense to repeat it. All right, but that way you've got your testimonials standing out, right? That's going to be more important than trying to cram everything into one spot. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and publish this page. I think we've come to the end of our conversion coaching session. We're going to do a quick little before and after of this one as well. But hopefully you can see that with just a little bit of optimization, a little bit of strategy on design and so forth, you get a better approach to these things. All right, so let's take a look at the before and after this page and see how it has improved. I would love for you to compare the results you get from these two pages and see which one wins out. So this page I thought was pretty good looking. It was very consistent, but there were some factors that we wanted to change, including focusing people's attention on one thing and not overwhelming them with too much information at the same time. Okay, so our new version of the page really brings a tighter view to this hero section. Again, this is what it looked like before. It took up a little bit too much space. We've changed the text as well of the benefit with that headline, and we've manipulated the layout of it so that it's more consolidated. And as you scroll down, you get to see some details in a little bit easier format. See the testimonials stand out instead of being hidden amongst the other features. And then as you scroll down further as well, when you have options, you focus on a specific option as being your primary one. So with that in mind, I think this is looking much, much better. Now we'll make a quick change to this page before we wrap it up. And that is, I forgot to make sure that this particular one changed its color scheme. So this one can be back to that primary button. Thanks so much for watching. Be sure to check out your Leadpages dashboard for upcoming training events like this one, and to find out the details on how you can get your page optimized as well. And if you're not a Leadpages customer just yet, be sure to head over to leadpages.com and start up a free trial. We'll see you in the next video.